Are you ready to transform your summer into an epic splash-tastic adventure? Say goodbye to wasteful, single-use water balloons and hello to the ultimate in reusable, eco-friendly fun with reusable water balloons. Check out the link in the video description to get yours on Amazon today.
A former FBI agent investigating America's truck-driving serial killers says there's a particular evil and cruelty associated with these kinds of crimes that never fails to shock and appall him. Frank Figliuzzi, a former assistant director of the FBI for 25 years, has released a book shedding an ominous light on the U.S.'s truck-driving serial killer problem, long haul, hunting the highway serial killers. In the book, Figliuzzi reports there have been a staggering 850 murders along America's highways over the past few decades, with more than 200 of those cases currently unsolved. The FBI has compiled a list of 450 potential suspects in connection with those cases. Figliuzzi says there are likely multiple truck driver serial killers currently stalking and murdering victims across the country while taking advantage of loopholes to evade detection. According to Figliuzzi, almost all of the victims are sex-trafficked women who are often picked up at truck stops in one place, raped and murdered in another, and then dumped at the side of a highway in a third. The victims' backgrounds often make it harder to identify them, and crossing into different jurisdictions makes it more difficult for law enforcement to investigate the cases. Figliuzzi explored the sickening crimes of Robert Benjamin Rhodes, otherwise known as the truck stop killer, in his book as an example of how such behavior can enable serial killer truckers to go undetected. Rhodes is currently serving a life sentence for the murder of 2 teenagers but is suspected of having tortured, raped, and killed more than 50 others between 1975 and 1990. He converted a section of his truck into a homemade, mobile torture chamber, allowing him to torment, beat, restrain, and rape his victims at will as he crossed state lines. One of his victims was 14-year-old runaway Regina Walters, whom he kidnapped as she was hitchhiking along a road in Texas. Rhodes raped and brutalized Walters over a series of weeks before murdering her in an abandoned barn. Before murdering her, Rhodes pierced Walters with fishing hooks, shaved her genitals, and hacked off her hair. He then took a final photo of her, showing a defenseless Walters raising her hand to the camera, pleading for her life. It was the brutal killing of Walters that stood out to Figliuzzi as one of the most shocking parts of his investigation. He shared, "The sheer evil and cruelty of these killers is shocking. During my FBI career, I saw a lot of horrific crime scenes, but these trucker killers are particularly gruesome in the way they carry out their evil against their victims." Rhodes hung Regina from fish hooks inside his rig, and even called her father to tell him, "I've made some changes. I cut her hair." Rhodes took a photo of Regina before he killed her. That photo, with Regina pleading for her life, is ghastly. Also profiled in Long Haul are the infamous Redhead murders, which remain unsolved but are believed to have been carried out by a trucker named Jerry Johns. Another featured case is that of Timothy Vafeeds, the so-called vampire trucker, who kept 6 women as sex slaves in his semi-trailer, where he raped, abused, tormented, and beat them while he drove across the country. If there are 200 unsolved murders and 450 suspects, it's safe to say that we have multiple serial killer truckers amongst us. Figliuzzi said with trucker killings there isn't always necessarily a sexual component to the crimes. There are 2 types of serial killers. The first type is all about controlling the outcome. They like power and control, said the FBI veteran. That means they take their time to prolong the abduction, raping, and torture of a victim before they kill her. Sometimes, the sadistic torture and rape of one victim can go on for several weeks before they are murdered. The second type is all about ending a life. Those people kill quickly and get their thrills from snuffing out a life. Seldom does that type of killer engage in sex with a victim. The crisis of serial killer truck drivers is so pervasive that the FBI opened a special unit in 2004, the Highway Serial Killings Initiative, to track trucker murders and establish any potential links between crimes. HSK was set up after an Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation analyst noticed a trend of dead bodies being dumped along the Interstate 40 corridor spanning 4 states. The HS